Hi, blessings. It's so great for you to be here today on Pizzo's Perfection. We're going to talk about the to be read list. So, if you're just watching, this is a to be read list, YA and middle grade, and then I'll be doing a to be read list adult. On AuthorTube and BookTube, they're calling it like reading rush, trying to get through all the books before the end of the year. That is definitely my goal, is to get through all of these books before the end of the year. That is my goal. One thing I'm learning as an author, as a writer, is that after I finish a manuscript, my brain really needs time to rest, recalibrate, sort of start filling in the gaps of the new books that I have, because I'm always with a million different ideas, always have a million different ideas. But sometimes they have to percolate a little while to start filling in the gaps a little bit, just allowing my mind to play with the different plot lines, different characters, to begin to form and develop a lot of the ideas into something that I can then write. Most of you know I'm a pantser, not a plotter, but a lot of that plotting does happen inside my head before I move on to actually produce the work. I'm in that stage. I typically try to plow through some major readings. I will also say that it's part of my job to know what's out there currently, to try to put great books into kids' hands throughout the community. It's a mission that I have, being over the program that I'm over as a director. And even though many of these books are current, I do not chase new releases. I just don't. I know there's all kind of analytics, and when I become an author, I'm going to want to have those analytics to become, know that I'm making the sales that I need to make. But I just believe readers, especially young readers, there's a slow burn to it. And oftentimes that means that that it takes a discovery process for them. They go into a library, maybe a book is recommended, but oftentimes it's based on their interests. Rarely is it just what's hot and what's new, unless it's some major book like a Harry Potter. Then of course they want it as soon as it can come out. But I think the industry drives that push to get something new, something that's brand new release. And I don't really necessarily like that. I think children should push books being out there and how they get into their hands. And if they push it, that may not mean that the book that is newly released is going to be the book that's being currently read by them. I totally believe in choice, and I believe in discovery. And I think teachers can fuel that, and librarians can fuel that by introducing different titles to them, by introducing all of these different new releases and titles. But who cares if they discover that book the day it comes out, or 2 years later, and they fall in love with it and it's life transforming and it helps them become a greater reader, someone who becomes a lifelong reader. I don't care when they necessarily find the book or discover the book. But I do recognize, for me, I do have a responsibility to try to put some of these current books out there, but I put them all out there. I try to keep just a cachet of books every year. I kind of make a goal of 50 to 60 books a year I try to read. And actually, I've been doing this, I will say I've been doing it almost 16 years now. And I can judge that based on a 5th grade class that I had with 17 very at-risk young men, very low skilled readers, very reluctant readers. There were 17 boys and 3 girls in this class. And I did some fantastical things to try to motivate them to read. And one of those was pushing my reading goals. And that summer I read 45 books, 45 novels. That's not even including all the picture books, to just try to make connections to nonfiction, different interests that they had. But I did a lot of reading to try to connect them to books. And so, because I've been doing that every year since then, I almost feel like there's something wrong with me if I go too long without reading a book. If I go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks without reading a book, then I'm like, okay, girlie, get a book in your hand. Get a book in your hand. And I love TV. I love movies. Oh my goodness, I love movies. I love vegging out with my babies and watching movies, but there's just a drive in me. I've always been a reader. My mom really helped support that. Every Christmas, she would give me a pile of books, and I remember finishing them before the day was done. I just love reading, and so these are really special because they really represent the age group that I taught when I was a classroom teacher, that 8th grade classroom teacher. Also, I taught at the university level, but I taught the very early reading and writing 101 courses that were basically the courses that you had to take if you weren't quite ready to go into an English 101 course or a writing 101 course. This was that level to get you prepared for that course so that you could be successful throughout the rest of your college career. And so these are near and dear to my heart because they are the books that I will put into the hands of kids. And this is the genre that I really try to stay abreast of, who's out in the market, who's diverse, who represents and is relatable to my children's experiences, my students' experiences. So I'm so happy to start plowing through. I've been starting to read a lot of these books, and before the end of the year, I plan to have all of the books that you will see in the middle grade, YA, and adult to be read series completed. Some of them I will talk about and give some critiques over. Some of them will be a part of the author study series. But I just wanted to come on and show you what's in my hand. And I will tell you, this is not even, I probably have about 10 more books that are YA middle grade that I have from conferences. I just came back from a conference today. So if I'm looking greasy or dark or, unkept a little bit, I'm sorry. I drove 12 hours to go meet Matt De La Pena, and I loved it. It was worth it. 3.5 hours there, and he was only there, 4 hours. He did a session, and then 3.5 hours back, I grabbed a nice lunch, had a beautiful view, and then hit that road back because I knew as soon as I get home, I'm officially on vacation. So I'm doing this on vacation. I know, I never vacay. I'm going to really try, but we got goals. Thank you so much, Blessings, for being here. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. I see you watching. So just subscribe, hit that subscribe button. It really does help me know that there are people in the space that want this content. It helps YouTube know that there are people out there that like this content. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you got some comments, questions, ideas for me, please put it in the comment section. Share with me, let me know. Do you have teenage readers at home? How do you keep your middle grade? That's a rough time to keep them motivated and reading. I just, all the way down to the conference and all the way back, I binge listened to Scholastic podcast on my mind. Suzanne McCabe's voice is so soothing, but I love all of the content they're putting out there, and I had lost it. I had found it when I first started doing a lot of my prep for the vlog, and then all of a sudden it wasn't coming up on my feed or anything, and I found it again, and I was so happy that I wanted to catch up and do a lot of reading. It's just wonderful. So I recommend that on my mind. If you have a middle grade or a YA reader in your home, or you're trying to mentor some middle grade YA readers, Middle grade is probably, I would say middle grade really does start around 5th grade. 5th, 6th grade, that's really that middle grade. Just because experiences, especially if you're in an urban setting, their experiences are typically much more advanced, a little higher level. Middle grade is that 5th grade, and then YA. 9th grade is definitely YA, but 8th grade, they're reading YA too. So these are definitely within that range. You're going to see much thicker books. If you're a writer, word count for middle grade to YA, word count for middle grade is definitely about 50,000 words. 50,000 words is what you want to get at. It's about 50,000 words. And if you are a YA writer, you're looking at 55 to maybe 80,000 words is a good place to be. It's a good sweet spot. If they are a reader, they're going to be a reader. They are. Even if they don't read a book in a month or two, like me, if they go a while without reading the book, they're going to return to the books because they're readers. If they are not a reader, and if they read based on demand, a teacher needs them to read, they have to read a book every year to do a project, they have to read a book to give a talk or whatever, they read on demand, then the middle grade and the YA years, you have to work even harder to motivate them to read. You have to work even harder to be a model for them to read. You have to really find books that are high interest, very engaging, that they want to read. Not that you would recommend, but that they want to read. And what I always would do in my classrooms is let them tell what they're reading and what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. And other kids would say, I would have a stack of index cards right on the little book screen overhead. There will always be that sitting there, and they could come at any time and pick an index card and write down, I just read this book. It was great because I didn't really like that some of it was slow or whatever. And then I would post those all around the room, bathroom, everywhere. And when kids would be looking for a book or just hanging out, they would read one, and some of them would spark, let me pick up that book. The kid that's the basketball star read that book, I want to read it too. Or that cute girl read that book and I want to try to talk to her, so I'm going to read it too. Those are some little strategies you could do to help read. Okay, let's get into